Welcome to Metro State University. You know, about 5 years ago, people working over on 17th Street, they would say, where the heck is Metro State anyway? Well, because of that identity problem, we went through a little marketing plan over the last 5 years. One of that was to build a couple of new buildings around here, new athletic field. We built this building, the Hospitality Learning Center. We're not even open a year now. We're only in this building about 8 months. And this supports our hospitality, tourism, and event management department, in which our students major in hotel management, restaurant management, tourism, and special events. And so with that, we are delighted to welcome the American Culinary Federation Colorado Chefs Association. And with that, I'd like to introduce President Chef Chris DeJean.
Who remembers Yan Can Cook? Yes, you can. And that's what I remember, 1979. Celebrated host of over 3,500 cooking shows broadcasted worldwide. I don't know if you knew that Chef Yan is a certified master chef in China. So that alone is pretty intense. We just had the Olympic tryouts at Johnson & Wales this weekend, and you should have seen some of the food. It's just amazing. We're going to be showing some of the slides downstairs so you guys can check it out. But we had 3 master chefs and 5 culinary team members in attendance or judging. They were harsh. So the next step for them is hot food competition in Chicago. His diverse talents has found him to, he's made 30 different cookbooks, and his newest here is on display, his travel guide book to China. So those will be up for sale, but we also are taking donations. So if you would donate, put your card in there, we're going to give away a book and a knife. Okay, so if you want to pass the hat, so to speak, or the tote, and give generously. Okay? In 1979, as we said, he pioneered the TV show, travel show Yan Can Cook. Infusion lessons with characters, warm humor, vitality, and you'll see that in a minute. It's pretty amazing. He can keep you going. He's been all over the country traveling. He leaves Wednesday for a trip that's, a month, Chef, out, and he'll be all over Vietnam to Beijing and back again. So he lectures at a lot of universities and culinary institutions. We're so thankful to have him here. We actually visited Art Institute today and talked to a few of the students. He has a great new restaurant. Everybody who goes to San Francisco, you got to check out his new restaurant. He's actually, the second will be opening up soon. MY China, and very unique food and some definite entertainment actually in the room as well. So I won't say more because he'll tease you. He travels all over the world, obviously, and kind of talks about some of the spelling mysteries of Chinese and Asian cuisine, lifestyle, and culture, because there's so much involved. With all that given, I give you Chef Mark.
The door is locked. You don't empty your wallet and put it in there, you'll never get out of here. Anyway, I want to show you a couple of things. One of the things I want to show you is what is healthy diet. Now, I just came back from Southeast Asia. I was all over Southeast Asia. I just finished 26 shows. The taste of Vietnam, taste of Malaysia. You go to Vietnam, you look at what they eat. If you can find anybody overweight, I'll give you a cookbook. You find 10 people overweight, I give you my car. You can find 100 people overweight, I give you my house. Diet is not crash diet. It's about a lifelong practice of good eating habit. I was lucky enough, I just participated in an event at Kellogg's School of Management, and health care people from around the world, hospital people from around the world, nutritionists, MD from all over the world, 250 people from around the world, talking about, in America, you know, we spend almost 17 to 18% of the entire GNP on health care. And it's growing and growing more. And a lot to do with our diet. We have problem with our diet. First, we eat too much, and we eat a lot of junk food. Hey, look at these physical specimens. Huh? Look. For those who have watched the Yankee Cook Show for over 34 years, I have not gained 1 pound. How many of you watched the Yankee Cook Show for more than 15 years or 20 years? I have not gained 1 pound because of diet. And also, rather than drive over here from downtown, I just walk over here. Why drive? Waste energy. I just walk over here. It took me about 6 days to walk over here. Okay? But I'm trying to tell you is diet and exercise is the way to go. And that's why I love to travel to Denver Airport. I always landed in gate number 1. My connecting flight, gate 75. So I just walk from gate number 1 to 75. That is enough exercise for me every day. Now, today I'm going to show you a few things. You know, many of you are chefs and culinary professionals. Raise hand. How many of you work in the kitchen as culinary professional? Raise your hand. Okay, now, today I want to share with you some Chinese way, Asian way of cooking. And it is fun, and it's fast. And it's so fast. The Chinese originally invented fast food in China. The way I cook, I can cook a whole dish faster than you flip a hamburger, okay? Because I can bone a chicken in 18 seconds. Because I practice on 2.5 million chickens in the last 20 years. So I am pretty skilled in boning chickens. And I actually use a boning knife to bone a chicken. Not a boning knife, a Chinese knife to bone a chicken. This is all they use in a typical Chinese kitchen. 1 knife. At the most 2 knives. One is a chopper, a cleaver, heavy-duty cleaver. And one is a meat cutter. Okay, I want to show you a few things. So if you have any question, please ask. As I said, I just came back from Asia. And I look at the diet. I look at the thing they eat. And how many of you have ever been eating a beef noodle in a pho, a Vietnamese, right? You go to a Vietnamese beef noodle restaurant. You got big bowl, a lot of soup, a lot of beautiful tasting soup, broth. And then just enough rice noodle, but a lot of bean sprout, a lot of fresh herbs and spices. If you go to Vietnam, even more. They give you about 7 different types of herbs and spices. Here, they give you cilantro and Thai basil. In Vietnam, at least 7 to 8 different varieties of stuff. You just basically add a lot of spice and herb. And then maybe 2 or 3 slices of beef. Not even more than 1 ounce. That's the diet. Okay? That's the type of diet that we're talking about. Healthy, wonderful diet. Okay? So what I want to think is, today I'm going to show you a few things that how we can use this and to cook a few simple dish. Now, first of all, I want to show you Chinese chef use the same knife to do practically everything, including garnishing. Okay? And Chinese use the same knife. This is number 3 knife. This is number 3. This is number 4. Number 1 is about this big. Number 2 is about this big. Number 3, this is number 3. Number 3 is the most functional. In fact, most of the Chinese restaurants in the U.S. use number 3. How many of you actually have a knife that made by Dexter? Most Chinese restaurants use Dexter. Number 3. This is unique. This knife is special contour. You ask any of my Asian friend, there's no Chinese chef knife designed like this. Most of them straight, and they do not polish this, so when you hold onto the knife, it hurts your finger. Here, it'll never hurt your finger because it's curved, polished, and it's razor sharp. Now, I'm going to cut this into many slices. I can literally cut into pieces this thin. Look at this. I want to show you. Okay? I want to show you as thin as this. Look at how thin this is. Okay? I can cut this very, very thin. But I'm going to cut this and to show you how functional a knife is. A Chinese chef knife. You can use this for everything. Let me show you. Cut, 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 cut. And I cut into all these slices. And I'm going to cut this into 60 slices. Continue, continue. I'm going to cut into 60 slices. Every single one is exactly. As a chef, all of us know that as a chef, the first thing we do is knife skill. Continue, 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 continue. Now, I also use this knife as a spatula. Okay? So, I use this in our restaurant when I do fried rice. I would do this. I would cut this ahead of time. I would line this up. I have one person to line this up, and I put my fried rice right over here. That guy charged $2 more. Okay? Look at this. I continue. I continue. I continue. I continue. And all I need is just enough slices to cover the whole thing. And I have just cut exactly enough slices to cover the whole thing. Okay? And then I can also ask this to sit down. And please sit down. Okay? Now, and then I also show you a technique that the Chinese use. When you cut tofu, tofu is a very, very widely, a lot of talking about tofu. You know, a lot of vegetarian restaurants in Asia use tofu. Tofu is made from soybean milk, okay? When you cut tofu thin slices, I don't know if you have ever seen that. You go in northern Chinese restaurant, there's a soup called the chrysanthemum tofu soup. All the tofu is cut into things this small. Okay? And they use the same knife. When you cut tofu this thin, you always start from the top. Cut it 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 from the top. Why you cut things at really thin slices from the top? Because you can control the thickness, because you can see it. Nice and thin slices like that. And you always use the seesaw motion. Always use seesaw motion. Okay? Always seesaw. I can really control the thickness when I cut it like this. Tofu, the same. A lot of time, people probably don't realize, if you don't want to eat animal protein, you can eat a lot of gluten if you're not allergic to gluten. And you can also use a lot of tofu and tofu byproducts, like fresh tofu, fermented tofu, pressed tofu, seasoned pressed tofu, and fried tofu. And all have different texture and different taste, okay? You see this? I continue to cut. I continue to cut. I continue to cut into thin slices. So just to show you, how fast, how much you can do. And now finally, I use this technique, parallel cutting technique. This is a parallel cutting technique. Put your knife parallel to your cutting board. And finally, I can cut enough slices out of one tomato and cover the whole thing. And this is how they do it. Now, this knife is not only a vegetable knife, but also a knife that you can perform different functions. For instance, a typical Chinese kitchen always have this, have a bowl right next to it. This is the garbage bowl. Have a wet towel. And then you would seesaw, and this is how you remove the seed from the barrel. You seesaw, done. And then you do julienne. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Julienne slices. And you transfer this and you put it right here. Okay? And then you can also do dice. And you set it from right here. So you have dice and slice. Dice and slice. And I cut it also at a diamond cut like this. So it depends. You go to really fine dining Chinese restaurant. There's a Chinese restaurant in San Francisco, not NY China, Chinese restaurant. You can order a Peking duck for $220. Just one duck. Okay? How many of you ever visit San Francisco Chinatown or New York Chinatown? When you walk around Chinatown in both of these cities, you see a lot of Chinese deli. They hang the duck, the chicken, and the soy sauce chicken, and the pig-pot duck, and then also barbecue pork and barbecue spare rib. They hang all over because they are cooked in a very unique oven, not a combi oven, a unique oven about this round, dome, about this tall. They can roast the entire pig, the whole body. They can do 3 pigs or 12 ducks to 14 ducks at the same time, just hanging around like a ring, okay? Now this is slow motion so everybody can see. You seesaw your knife, you seesaw, rotate, seesaw, rotate, seesaw, rotate, seesaw, rotate, done. Okay? And you cut, and then julienne. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then you julienne, and this is julienne, okay? And then, of course, You can do dice too. Dice, diamond cut, and I put it right here. And then you can also do it like this. This is Julian, and Julian, and Julian. And then this is the Julian slice. Julian and dice. Now look at this. You can also do shredding. As a chef, the key is, it doesn't matter what cuisine you're doing, it's always knife skill. And this is called parallel cutting technique. And you continue to do this until you no longer have any courage to do it. And you can actually see my name. And then you continue to do this. I always tell my good friend in the Food Network, Yan can and you cannot. It is so thin, you can actually see my name. And now you can shred it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can cut into many slices, and each one of them like this. Okay? Each one of them, you can sprinkle it in salad and soup. When you put this in ice water, they curl up, look beautiful. Okay? That's why sometimes we put this in a salad. Okay? Put this in a salad. Okay? It looks really nice, particularly when I have some kind of cream soup. Then I put it in. And then I also use the knife as a spatula. Okay? Now we want to cut up this. And I also want to show you how to cut really thin, fine slice of green onion. You go like this. One. And then you line them all up. And then, now this is how the Chinese restaurant do the green onion, sprinkle this on top of the steamed fish. Okay? You go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. And all of these are very thin slices like this. Look at this. All of these are this thin slice. And this way, when you put in ice water, they curl up. They can, again, put it in soup. Okay? That's the key of the knife. How you use your knife, hold onto it properly. And then even this, you can cut into different shapes. Now look at this. A good Chinese restaurant always cut everything into beautiful shape. Into butterfly, into all kind of flour. 45 degree, 45, 45, 45. This is diamond cut. All these are diamond cuts. All these are diamond cuts. Look at this. Okay? 45, 45, diamond cut. And we'll put it over here. It's much nicer. And then you can also do 3-dimensional diamond cuts. You cut an angle. You see, there are so many ways the Chinese cut their vegetable. You see this? Cut, and cut. And every single one is 3-dimensional diamond cuts. And this would make the dish look more interesting. That's why you go to Hong Kong, you go to fine dining Michelin restaurant, you see the way they cut it is very different than the chop suey chow mein house to cut it. Okay? Because they take the time to cut it in such a way. It looks not only nice, it cooks faster because it's different surface, a lot more surface area. Now, let me show you another thing. Even this, normally when you cut celery like this, okay? You just go 1, 2, 3. You never see a Chinese restaurant do celery like this, okay? They always do it like this, 45 degrees, 45, 45, 45. Just like a Japanese sushi bar. You always cut it towards your hand. And every single one looks like this. Okay? Okay? Done. This is also another one. We put it right over here. And then, of course, you can do it at this angle, too. And set aside, transfer. Now, I have also showed people always say, oh, you know, when I cut onion, how come? I got, you know, particularly people start working in the kitchen, they just couldn't take it, okay? Because they normally make two mistakes, okay? One, they're too slow. Secondly, they're too close to the onion. Now this is all julienne pieces. I just use this technique, also parallel cutting. This is how you should do it. Angle. Never the first cut this downward. Otherwise it will be this big. You see? So cut an angle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now every single one, it looks like this. Same size. Because you cut it in a special angle. And then you transfer. You put it right here. Okay? And then you cut. And then the same thing. I always tell people, when you try to dice this is another way of doing it. 1, 2. Look at that. Because the ring, the outside ring is much bigger than the inside ring. So what I'm going to do is, I cut, I stop right here. And I cut, I stop right here. And every single one the same size. Okay? I did not go through the whole thing. Now here, I already cut up all of these. And I want to have a tiny bit more thing. And even this, I can use it as a garnish. Even this, I can use as a garnish. This, you can use as a garnish and put in your salad, okay? Waste nothing. Chinese restaurant, waste nothing, okay? Never waste anything. See this? Seesaw your knife. Okay? Seesaw your knife. And then I use this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2. And then 1, 2, and 3. And then I use the knife as a spatula. I transfer, put it right here. So now I have slice and I have cube or dice right here. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you how easy it is to bone a chicken, okay? Everybody look at how I bone a chicken, okay? Now I am going to use the chicken. Also, you can also cut one of these garlic into many slices. You go to Chinese restaurant, they stir-fry gailan or Chinese broccoli. They use thinly sliced garlic. This is how you do it. And when it's all nice and done, it's all distinct. And then you put this in your dish and stir fry. And then another thing that I want to show you is how easy it is to mince the garlic. It's already minced. Okay? What I'm doing is, rather than going like this, I just crush and I tear them apart. It's done. Okay? And I put it right here. Now, when the garlic is ready, right here, and then we're going to show you how easy, how fast you can bone a chicken, okay? We'll show you how to bone a chicken. Very, very fast. And this is free range. I want to show you how to do it. Now, don't blink. Now I'm showing you how important it is when you are familiar with your tools. With the right tool, you can do a lot of things. And this is the tool that I use for everything, including boning a chicken. Now I can do it in, hopefully, 18 seconds. Please don't stare at me. You know, people don't realize how nerve-wracking it is when 200 people sit there and go. Are you ready? Yes. I'm going to show you. I'm so fast. This is the wishbone. This is not a boning knife. This is a Chinese knife, a Chinese chef knife. This is the wishbone. And I'm going to have one cut on this side, another cut on the other side, and I turn it upside down. And then I cut one cut right in the middle. And you notice that I will stop right here. I will not go through all the way because I do not want to cause any damage with this most delicate part of chicken. Julia Child's favorite, chicken surprise. Now, and then I pull this out. And then I remove the chicken breast and the thigh leg, and I do everything in split seconds. Every movement is approximately 3 seconds. Ready? When I say 1, you time it, okay? 3, 2, and 1. One cut, another cut, turn it around, one cut, hold it back, hold it, this joint, and I push it, comes out like that, and comes out like that, and I turn it around the side, and it comes out like that, turn it around the side, and it comes out like that, when I hold on to it, and it comes out like that, the last one comes out like that, it's done. Huh? I could have done it faster. I slowed down. Just want to show you. Now, you know why I do that? If you are running your own operation one day, then if you have to buy all of these, it's going to cost you a little bit more because it's value added, right? But if you're running your own operation, you should learn how to do it because you can use the carcass to make your soup stock. That's what I do, okay? In fact, I bone all my chicken in the last 2 years. And I save so much money. Not only I do it for myself, I do it for all my neighbors. And I make so much money. I went to Asia. I fly to Asia twice, and I still have enough money to come to Denver downtown to buy a condo. Bone your own chicken. Do me a favor, okay? Now I want to show you how fast. You know why? Because when we buy a chicken, the chicken is only 89 to 109. When it's on sale, it's only 89 cents a pound. But buy chicken breast, boneless, skinless chicken breast, $4.95 in San Francisco. New York, $5.95. I don't know about here. Okay? Now I want to show you how fast. And put it off, $4.95. That's how fast. See? No fat, nice, $4.95. Slow motion. One more time. I use the tip of my knife. This time, 1, 2, and 3. $4.95. This is how fast you can do it. Let me show you another thing that you can learn how to do. Okay? Everybody know how to make a drumstick out of this? No big deal, okay? Now I want to show you how easy it is. Right next to the joint, one lid. And you hold on to this, and you push, and both bone comes out. Remove smaller piece of bone, and then remove wingtip. This is the great appetizer. Okay, marinate this and either deep fry with a batter, or you roast it or barbecue it and serve with sweet and sour sauce, or the Thai sweet chili sauce. Very good. You don't like this? You don't want a bone? No big deal. I don't want the bone. The bone is right here. And then this is, I will stuff this like a Thai. We stuff this with mushroom, with shiitake mushroom, carrot, and celery. And then I grill them or pan fry them and serve with a savory sauce or hoisin glaze. And then if you don't like the skin, you want the meat? No big deal. You use, and skin comes out. And the meat is right here. So that means you can do all kinds of things, okay? Now in the meantime, I'm going to show you 1, 2, and the side to side, and I put it right here. And then I am going to show you. Let us put this, cover this up. and put it back in the fridge. I'm going to take it back and I'll make homemade soup stock. Butterfly. Use the same knife. This is the tool. Use the same knife. And you cut. And you cut. This is how fast you can do it. That's why sharp knife is a very, very important knife. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, and 7. And I put it right here. Right here. Now, once again, butterfly. Butterfly. Okay? And then tenderize. And then I go 1. Okay? And go 1. And go, this is how you save time. Rather than do it, you stack them all up. All you have to do is cut it 3 times. It's already cut up. Okay, this is how you save time. Because in Chinese restaurant, they have to cut everything up. That's why in the Chinese restaurant, the knife, in Japanese restaurant, Asian restaurant in general, knife is one of the most important tools in an Asian restaurant. So that's the reason why you probably know that you can buy a knife in a Japanese store for $1,500 US to buy a sushi knife. Have you ever heard of that? Even $3,000 a knife because it's handmade, okay? Now we have this cut up, and we're going to cut up some beef. I want to show you to do 2 dishes. One is a typical Chinese style kung pao chicken style stir fry. One is the Asian version, Cantonese fajita, but using Chinese. A lot of people don't realize, a lot of Mexican, Hispanic restaurants, when they use beef to marinate, they use, you know what they use? They use soy sauce to marinate. You know that? They use soy sauce to marinate. Soy sauce is a very, very wonderful, nice, basic seasoning. Soy sauce is, there are 2 different types of soy sauce. One is naturally fermented soy sauce. Another one is hydrolyzed, chemically hydrolyzed soy sauce. It's called like the hydrolyzed vegetable protein. You want to buy soy sauce which is naturally fermented. Okay? And there is light soy and dark soy. Light soy is normally used as a dipping sauce. Dark soy normally when you do something braised, casserole, you want a rich, sweet taste, you use dark soy. Dark soy is about 25% caramel. Light soy is there's no caramel, very little caramel, and also saltier and less sweet, okay? So we will show you, this already cut up, and this will be marinated, and I'm going to have a piece of beef here. That's why I always cut up the vegetable first before I cut the meat. Now, I'm going to do a little simple fajita, my style. But I don't have time to slowly cook this because I don't have a grill, okay? So this thing is thinner on one end, and I will cut it in half. And then, now they're the same thickness. And then I use the same knife, and I tenderize this a little bit. This is how functional, when you are so used to your tools, it becomes an instinct. Okay? And then, in fact, I cut it in half if I want, so it's easier to cook. So, I'm going to show you how to do this. Okay? I want to show you how fast you can cook this dish. I have a hot plate here to do fajitas. Okay? And here, I'm going to show you how to marinate this. Here, basic. Now, this is about flavoring. How to use Asian flavoring, Asian seasoning in an American kitchen. Now, look at this. When you marinate, you use soy sauce. Use soy sauce. Okay? And use a tiny bit of hoisin sauce. A tiny bit of hoisin sauce. Okay? And a tiny, tiny bit of sesame seed oil, just for marinade, okay? And then, also, use a tiny bit of cornstarch. So this way, it's sealed in the juice. Why Chinese use cornstarch? because it helps to seal in the juice, give that nice smooth texture. And also, another thing that it helps to give that nice shiny glaze to your dish. You go to Chinese restaurant, it's always very shiny. Because cornstarch, you can thicken the dish with cornstarch, which is healthier, because when you thicken a dish with flour, you got to use roe, right? You got to use butter or dripping, and that is cholesterol, okay? And that is not as healthy as thicken a dish with cornstarch. All you add is water, okay? So I'll marinate this, and then I'm going to marinate the chicken. Chicken, basic marinade, always use light soy. Don't use dark soy. Beef, you can use dark soy. And I use a tiny bit of wine. This is wine right here. Okay? Or dry sherry. Always use cornstarch. Why use cornstarch? Because cornstarch help to seal in the juice, give them a nice shiny glaze and smooth texture. Because when cornstarch is cooked, it binds the water and the moisture, so the juice doesn't come out. So that's why it's so much tender. And now, another thing is, in Chinese restaurant, make sure you do that. Tiny bit of oil, half a teaspoon of oil, right before you cook. Why? Because I have cornstarch. Now it's all lubricated. It doesn't stick anymore. So you actually can use less oil, okay? Now I'm going to cook, okay? Anybody have any questions so far? Because this audience looks really, really, they're in control of the emotion. The last audience, they're crazy, they're nuts. But here, you know why I admire you? This particular group, I have done so much around the world. This is the only group that even they get excited, they just sit there and go. I admire you. With such control of emotion, it's not easy. You get excited, you go. Yes. Hoisin sauce is fermented soybean, 5 spice powder, sugar, tiny bit of soy sauce. Okay? Oh, I'll show you. Earlier, I always tell people, when you sharpen a knife, try not to use the cheap sharpening steel. Get a little bit more expensive steel, which is finer, not the rough one, really fine, or get a diamond sharpening steel. Because when you sharpen with the sharpening steel, you are basically a regular sharpening steel. You're not sharpening your steel. You're realigning the edge. The baffle, you're realigning it. Because when you cut, they get jagged, and then you realigned it. But if you have a nice diamond sharpening steel, which is normally flat rather than round, then you actually have more surface, and you're actually sharpening it. Okay? Now I use about 2 teaspoons of oil at the most. 1 teaspoon. And then I put garlic and ginger. And then I put, this is what you call Chinese cooking, is high temperature and short time. When you do this, do not turn. Allow it to sear the meat just like you do barbecue. The technique of stir fry is let it sit for about 30 seconds or less. Then they sear the meat and seal in the juice. If you immediately stir it, you're not searing. Just like when you do barbecue. When you heat up your grid, you put it in, you never turn it upside down right away, right? You always see the juice, then you turn it. Now look at this. Now this is about 30 seconds. And then I turn them around, and I go, now, nothing gets stuck. And I use very little oil. It's healthy cooking. Less oil, less salt. That's why I always tell people why I prefer to use soy sauce than salt. Soy sauce, there are 2 different types now. One is the red cap, one is the green cap. The red cap is about 16.7% to 16.8% salt. The green cap is only 7.8%, 40% to 50% less. That means 1 tablespoon of soy sauce with over 100 flavor components. You add flavor, not just salt. That's why from now on, use soy sauce. Okay? Okay. Anybody have any question? Now, I toss, nothing get burned. It's sears the meat. When you taste it, you'll notice it. When you taste it, you notice it. It is nothing overcooked or undercooked, okay? Then, I will use this. Because I would like to ask some of you to taste this, okay? Why Asian food is so healthy? Look at this. 1 portion of protein to 3 portions of vegetable. Colorful vegetable. A lot of kids do not like to eat vegetable because you have your piece of protein here. And then you have overcooked vegetable there. 9 out of 10 times, I'm not you. 9 out of 10 times I go out to eat in a restaurant, there's always overcooked vegetable. Because the vegetable in Western restaurant, this is wine. Look at this. I use high temperature in short time. I have 1 portion of protein to 3 portions. As a restaurateur, this is food cost saving. Right? Besides, when they eat a lot of meat, they don't appreciate it. They don't need to eat so much meat. Okay? This is colorful. Eat a lot of leafy vegetable. That's a healthy way. And then for this one, I want to do Kung Pao chicken. I use hoisin sauce. I use hoisin sauce. I use chili sauce. And I use soy sauce. And I use sesame seed oil. And I use vinegar. Yes, vinegar. Rice vinegar. And then let me show you how easy to thicken the dish. You use wine or water, okay? And then I mix 1 portion of these. And then I thicken it up like this. I put it right in the middle. And you know what? I just have enough sauce. I don't want to overcook. I don't want to, and this is nice and hot and spicy. All I do is put a teeny tiny bit of sugar just to have the touch. And then extra soy. All together, this is a half a teaspoon each time I put it in. So I use very low. You know what? This is so easy to do. And the whole thing is done. And then nothing gets stuck, nothing gets burned, and nothing is difficult to do. And then we serve over here. Okay? And this is the Chinese fast food. It is healthy, and it's easy, and nothing is overcooked. I just have enough. And you can have a little more sourness. You put a tiny bit of extra vinegar. Okay? This will give you that little kick to it. Okay? Anybody else have any question? This is so light, and it's good for your food cost. Look at this. Nice and colorful, like this. You go to the Chang's, $14.95. Okay? Look at this. And this is how easy we can serve these. All right, over here. Now, let me show you quickly. Let us serve that. And in the meantime, I'm going to quickly show you how. Thank you, Chef. I want to show you how to do a simple fajita. Yes.
Is there a particular rice you prefer when you're making your stir-fried rice?
Normally use long grain rice. Okay? Don't use Japanese short grain rice because it's sticky. Use long grain rice and also cook the rice ahead of time and let it cool down a little bit and break it up before you stir fry it. It's always easier to do fried rice when you do large portion of fried rice in a big frying pan or whatever, because fresh rice tend to be more sticky, much more difficult to handle. And then 1 day old rice or refrigerated rice, much easier to handle. Always stir fry all the ingredients. If you make barbecue pork fried rice, shrimp fried rice, ham fried rice, put all the vegetable, the diced carrot and diced green beans, green peas, all stir fried first with garlic and ginger before you put your rice in. The rice is already done. And then when you rice, you toss in it, you sprinkle a tiny bit of broth and let it steam and cover it for a few seconds, okay? And that's how you do it. Now, we're going to do this. We're going to do our fajitas. And all I need is half a teaspoon of oil. Okay, very little oil. There's recently I was doing a show in southwestern part of China, in Yunnan province. There's a village, the longevity village. Everybody over there, despite lack of medical care, everybody average age is 95 years old. And then I have vegetable here with a tiny bit of green onion. Okay? Tiny bit of green onion. Save these for tomorrow. Butter fry this. And then go. And then this is what I'm going to do. Okay? Never overcook any of these. This is good enough. Why? Because the hoisin sauce. You look at this. Because the hoisin sauce. This look like it's barbecue. Look like it's barbecue. Because of hoisin sauce. Because it's caramelized. So without the grill, I am able to assimilate something with the caramelization of sugar and protein right here. Okay? They use minimum amount of oil. You know why frank steak is good? Because it's very little fat. But you don't overcook them. You overcook them, no good. Okay? So do not overcook your frank steak. Yeah.
Why is it so important when you are using a wok that you have to really fire on
The reason it's good is when you do stir fry. Because the wok is high slope. This is not even a wok, this is a stir fry pan. When you have a wok, what happens is you are having, I'm going to put this, I don't want to overcook them. I just want to have beautiful, nice pink. Okay? When you toss the food with a high slope, it tumbles, so more uniform cooking. When you have a frying pan, you toss it, unless you're really good, unless you don't have a whole pan full of food, chop up food. If you chop up all the stuff and toss, most of the time your kitchen looks like a disaster area. Okay? But a wok, when you toss the tumble within the wok, you went to a Chinese restaurant, you see the wok this big, when they toss, the food normally don't fry all over the place. Now, and I'm going to let it rest a little bit. And I use this to make my fajitas. This is the basic vegetable. Okay? Now this is my version of the Asian flavor fajita. And then you can do it in a grill. Grill your griddle. and you grill your vegetable, okay? And I put a tiny bit of sesame seed oil, a tiny bit of oyster flavor sauce, and a tiny bit of broth or wine. And then I will go for it. If you like hot and spicy food, hey, might as well put it right here. And that's all I have to do. Now this is done. This is done, okay? And then I use another knife and cut my beef. Okay? Another knife, another cutting board, cut my beef. And I'm going to show you how easy it is. Now this is hot. This is very hot. And then I'm going to put this here. Let me show you the Asian version. Actually, you go to Chinese restaurant, they actually have sizzling plate, sizzling food, sizzling platter. Okay? And then this is done, and I clean up my hand. And then I use this knife to cut at an angle, 45 degree, beautifully pink, beautiful. You see how I do it? I cut an angle, and then I go down. I cut an angle, and I go down. I cut an angle, I go down. I cut an angle, I go down. I cut an angle, I go down. Why? Because that piece look a lot bigger. Okay? So this is how you go on a diet, okay? And then, when this is done, I toss these into this. And then I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then I put this, put it right here. And this is our Asian fajitas. Look at Asian flavor fajitas. And we will pass it on. And I think today, most likely, I want you to get out to appreciate the different seasoning, the different spices that the Asian use. Now, besides this, they have plum sauce. They have the Thai sweet chili sauce. They have the Thai red curry, green curry, yellow curry. And I want you to also show you that because the way I marinate the meat with the cornstarch, it is moist, juicy, and succulent. It melts in your mouth because I did not overcook it. And I toss it in, and I tumble it, and that's the stir-fry technique. But some people, they just don't listen. They don't pay attention. You know, they put the stuff, they heat up the wok, hot wok cooler. They put up, they add the oil, they add the chicken. They just sit there and go. You know what? That is not stir-fry technique. That is, in China, it's called stir-fry technique. Huh? Stir, move, and stir. That's how you do it, okay? That's the key. Now, let's serve these. In the meantime, let's give you a chance to ask some question. I have done the Yan Can Cook Show since 1979. So I had the opportunity to travel all over the world to work with some of the top, the best chefs in the world. And I learned so much from everybody. So what I'm sharing with you is something, your simple ingredient. You go to many countries, developing country, underdeveloped country, they use simple ingredient to cook unbelievably delicious and healthy meal. That's what we strive for. You don't need to have all of these ingredients, all of this ingredients to do it. All you have to understand is Or give an example. Oyster sauce. A few basic sauce you should have to do Asian food. Oyster sauce is widely used all over Asia, not only by the Chinese. Soy sauce is used by a lot of people of Southeast Asia, not only by the Chinese or the Japanese. The Korean use soy sauce. A lot of Southeast Asians use soy sauce. They have a slightly different version of the soy sauce. Like Indonesia, they have soy sauce, but the thick, dark, thick, sweet molasses type of soy sauce. So all of them use a variety of sauce. All you have to do understand, and most of these sauce you put in the fridge will last you for 3 million years. That means because they're basically salt and sugar itself is a preservative. They preserve. Okay, yes. Oyster sauce is made with the fresh oyster extract. How they do it is you go to harvest an oyster farm, okay? You put all the oyster and let it cook into a concentrated juice. You filter it, and that is a concentrate juice. When you make oyster sauce, you use just the right portion of concentrate, oyster concentrate juice. Thicken it with modified starch, tiny bit of soy, and a tiny bit of sugar. Okay? Hoisin sauce is made with sweet, fermented soybeans and brown beans. Okay? And then, after you do that, you puree this. And then you add sugar, fried spice powder, and garlic. Okay? I used to work for a food company in Asia. And we make tons and tons. We import it, export it all over the world. Oyster sauce, plum sauce, fermented black bean, brown bean sauce, bean paste, bean curd, bean sauce, bean sprout, all kind of stuff. We even raise bean sprout and canned bean sprout. But my recommendation is do me a favor, eat fresh bean sprout. Don't eat canned bean sprout, unless you live in Alaska. On Juneau, Alaska. Any other question? Yes. I was born and grew up in Guangzhou, China. I came to this country when I was about close to 20 years old. And I went to UC Davis and I studied food science and nutrition. So my background is I'm a food technologist. I consult for food companies. I just do this when I need money. I don't want to say it out loud so it would not be recorded. I am here because I need the money. No, I love what I do, and I've been doing this for so long, and I still get excited doing this. And it's just very impressive to have me facing such a composed, emotionally controlled audience, which is very, very rare. Yes?
What's your favorite Cantonese dish?
You know what? I was brought up with casserole. My mother always had a clay pot. He would cook rice in a clay pot and with little Chinese sausage or something. And sometimes he would cook a pot of cane and put a tiny bit of mushroom and chicken. So that one dish meal. Then it is so aromatic because when you cook with clay pot is a bad conductor of heat. So it takes a while. So when you cook clay pot, you cannot use high heat. You let it bubble, and it cooks, and the flavor of all the wonderful thing and sip and permeate into it. And like a black bean, spare with black bean sauce over clay pot. All of this, by the time and the rice is done, the meat is done, everything is done, and you just eat in this one dish meal, and then just saute a couple of vegetables. And clay pot is always my comfort food because when I was growing up, we always have a lot of little clay pot. And also I like steamed fish because steamed fish is the healthiest way to eat. You steam the fish. And then when it's done, okay, when it's done, you know what, when you steam the fish, you know what you should do? This is the plate. You put 2 chopsticks on the bottom. Then you put the fish on top. So allow some empty space for the steam to circulate. If you don't, you put it right there, and they're not cooked properly. And then after that, all you have to do is shred some green onion and ginger and sprinkle on top. Put some tiny bit of oil, a tiny bit of hot oil, just a tiny bit, and light soy sauce. Chinese, I've been eating Asian food, and I have never have to go on a diet. You don't need to go on a diet when you eat the way the Chinese been, particularly our grandfather, all the farmers. They get up in the morning, they don't drive, they work, and they go to sleep early. That's the healthy lifestyle. Now we always talk about to live healthily. If you don't live a lifestyle like that, how can you be healthy? You know? You spend, 4 hours a day watching NBA, and then you drink about 1,600 bottles of beer, And it is about lifestyle. It's not only about diet. It's about lifestyle. I keep a very active lifestyle. I normally, like if I go to a farmer's market, which is about 3 miles from my house, I walk there. And I carry those heavy stuff back. My wife normally carry it back. Yeah, I just walk back. No, I'm just joking. I think that the key is, as I said, I did a forum with all the medical professionals from all over the world about health and wellness. Health and wellness is about diet. You are what you eat. Okay? And I take very few vitamins. I normally eat a lot of variety of vegetable, a lot of leafy vegetable. You go to a Chinese household, you see they always have bok choy, gai choy. Gai choy is mustard green. A lot of kale when I was growing up, and also spinach. A lot of leafy vegetable. Because leafy vegetable have a lot of fiber. And eat things like bitter melon. Bitter melon is a medicine in Asia. In Indonesia, in Vietnam, in China, they literally drink bitter melon tea. It cut down on your cholesterol, and it's good for your high blood pressure. Celery is very, very good. Broccoli, cauliflower. I hardly see people eat cauliflower. Cauliflower is very, very good. Eat cauliflower. Brussels sprout. I hardly see people eat Brussels sprout. You should eat Brussels sprout. Cabbage is very good. So you go to a lot of Chinese restaurants, they have a lot of cabbage. Napa cabbage, head cabbage, all kind of cabbage, and a lot of beans. The Chinese use beans to make desserts, you know that. Beans and grains and cereal, and the grains are very good for you. So diet is about more vegetable, more fish, and more meat, and cook like me. No butter, not much cream and oil and all kinds of things, but simple diet. Anybody else? Yes. Breakfast food. Oh, Chinese and Asian. You know what they eat? They eat leftover. It's true, because when I was growing up, there's no leftover, no refrigerator. So they would have a little screen to get rid of the flies, okay? And then put this in a ventilated area. This is how my mother, and they have to eat it within 10 hours. That means last night, any leftover from last night, the morning, and that you waste nothing. Otherwise, leftover, you throw them away. Asian always eat leftover. If leftover rice, you put in some broth and put in some leftover and just make juk, the rice porridge. Okay? Here, bacon, ham, egg, all of these heavy-duty stuff. I'm not saying that you shouldn't eat that occasionally, but I'm saying try to have a healthy diet. Hey, how about oatmeal, cereal? The problem is when you have oatmeal, you got sugar, you got honey, you got milk. What other, yes?
Chef, the sauces that you
Some of them are. Some of them, when they ferment soybean, soy sauce that's gluten-free. You remember tamari? Tamari soy sauce is gluten-free. When they fermented soy sauce, they add flour to accelerate the fermentation process because of protein, amino acid. But tamari have no flour. Just use rice flour. They have no flour. Soybean and rice flour, no. A lot of people are allergic to gluten. They can eat rice and rice meal. And yes?
I have a question. I'm curious, when you get together with your family, do they ever cook for you, or do you always have to cook?
I have no choice but to cook because I can bone a chicken in 18 seconds. My wife takes about 3 hours to bone down chicken. By the time I finish boning the chicken, I will be starving to death. So I cook because I have no choice. No, actually, I enjoy cooking. Besides, when I cook, I'm actually doing tasting and testing new recipes. I always try to do different things. Like I hope you like the fajita. Yes. I mean, the beef is just the right touch of hoisin sauce. Just enough caramelization, not burnt, but very moist and juicy and tender. And it go with all these vegetables, and the flavor of the beef and the juice from beef permeate into the vegetable. And this is a Chinese version of the fajita. Yes? Oh, Shanghai baby bok choy. Shanghai baby bok choy is a little baby bok choy. Actually, the real name, it should be Qing Gong choy, Shanghai green vegetable, because bok means white. And that Shanghai baby vegetable is green. The stem is green. The bok choy is white. Bok means white. White cabbage.
So that's what I've been trying to decipher what's in those cans of Shanghai vegetables.
The Shanghai baby bok choy is actually very sweet. And it's available in every single supermarket nowadays. 15, 20 years ago, nothing like that because people don't know what it is. Nowadays, you can buy bean sprout, bok choy, tofu, tofu firm, tofu soft tofu. You want to make soup, use soft tofu. Stir fry, use firm tofu. Okay? So if I were you, I would eat more edamame, soybeans, more tofu, and more leafy vegetable, and more fish. Eat a lot of fish. I eat a lot of fish. I love fish. Have you ever been, how many of you have ever been in Hong Kong? 1, 2, 3, 4. You go to Hong Kong, you go to China, you go to a seafood restaurant. It's just like an aquarium. Literally like an aquarium. A lot of fish tanks. Saltwater fish, freshwater fish, turtle, soft-shell turtle, frogs, all eels, all kind of stuff. Okay, so one day I think we should do a tour, a culinary and culture tour with Metropolitan University and a chef, ACF, Denver, ACF, so we can go to just eat. You don't have to bring anything. Just bring enough Pepto-Bismol because you'll be eating so much. But I think it's a because if you go with me, I'll take you to the kitchen, inside the kitchen. I'll take you to the fish market, to the wet market. Yan can, and you cannot. Yeah. Now, I would like to, we have exactly 12 copies of my cookbook and 10 of my knife. If you're interested in that, you'll be more than happy to, I'll be happy to sign it for you. And let us make a deal I normally do not make, but since I'm in good mood, the two reasons why I'm in good mood, one, I'm in this beautiful university, the first time. Secondly, I've never given a presentation with such a dignified, emotionally controlled crowd. And this is going to be a lifelong memory that I come to Denver, Metropolitan University. I see somebody, they just stare at you. Okay? Anyway, I'll be happy to sign it for you.
Thank you, Chef. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you. Any question? Any question? How can you not having question? How can it be? Impossible. No, you gotta ask more. How can you not have question? I don't know. Even Julia Child asked me question. So what is your question? I'm asking you about anything in the kitchen, particularly Asian cooking. How much do you know about Asian cuisine in terms of seasoning, techniques, and the essence of Asian, particularly Chinese? So I'm asking you, since you don't ask me, I ask you. Answer me.
Okay. In the warehouse, I working only for 6 months.
Okay.
In the Asian station, and yes, I learning now something about, but it's not same, but similar, like fried rice and some stuff like this.
Okay, let me ask you a question. When you do fried rice, do you use the freshly cooked fried rice or 1 day old fried rice? What is better? Which one is better? You use common sense. This is culinary common sense. Which one? Think. When you use fresh rice, when it's fresh out of the rice cooker, normally they're pretty sticky. So when you stir fry rice, unless your wok is big enough and you toss it enough, otherwise they stick and you turn it into a gigantic rice ball, fried rice ball. Okay? So if you put the rice in the fridge and let it cool down, the starch went to something called retrogradation. They got firmer. And then you can break it up very easily. So when you fried it, it's easier for you to stir fry. So now tell me which one you would prefer to use. The refrigerated rice. See? Simple.
Which is the most exotic meat have you been working with?
Bats. Bats. I mean, flying bats. I was in Malaysia, Borneo, Malaysia. And then they took me into the cave. And then they literally grabbed these bats, use a net, and then they cook it. And that's the weirdest thing, because when they did the casserole and the damn bat, the eye is staring at me when I'm eating the damn thing. So I have to close my eyes and taste it. That's the most exotic thing. It tastes like a little field mouse, like a little rabbit, like a free-range tough chicken. Because these guys flying around. You know, everything tastes like free range.
So how you cook it? You know, like
They casserole. They use open pit fire, wood fire, to grill it a little bit, and then they casserole it with some lemongrass and kaffir lime leaf and a galango and all kinds of stuff in an actual clay pot. And the worst thing is that when I'm eating the damn thing and it's staring at me, just go. The eye is still staring at me. So that's a little bit tricky. When I was a little kid, I mean, this sounds like an insult to you, okay? In many cultures, they actually raise dogs. You don't realize that. You go to Mongolia, you go to Manchuria, you go to Vietnam, you go to a lot of places, they actually serve that. Just like a lot of people, like in Oregon, in the supermarket, you can buy horse meat. You know that? Mm-hmm. A lot of people do not eat rabbit because, rabbit is a pet. So my wife never eat rabbit because we use the rabbit pet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we eat all the kind of exotic meat too, like iguanas.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't realize in America is a land of abundance. We don't eat this, we don't eat that. You go to the supermarket, you never see the whole piece of animal. You go to many central market around the world, you see the whole thing, the whole kettle, the whole pig, the whole thing. Have you ever been in Chinatown to see how they load and unload? They carry the whole pig into the kitchen. You know, so because when in many countries, when food is scarce and everything is precious, it's protein, they'll eat anything. Here in America, we're a little bit jaded, and if there is a famine, I doubt that too many Americans would be able to survive. Because you don't eat this, you don't eat it. Even you're starving yourself, you couldn't eat it. Because the damn thing is staring at you. Another thing which is very common in many countries is to eat insects. Because some of the insects in some countries are about this big. And they normally either roast them or grill them or fry them. And they're actually good quality protein because there's a lot of calcium and a lot of a mineral and vitamins and not much fat. Insect, very little fat. So you're eating really good quality stuff. We should have opened a restaurant in Denver. Insects only. I guarantee you. I guarantee you it will be popular. Because for those people going to diet, that's go to the insect restaurant. Because when I say all of these things, you know why I say this? Because I travel around the world, particularly in remote area. I travel to places most tourists would not go. If you watch the Yankee Cook Show, I take you to places very exotic. Even more so than Anthony Bourdain. Anthony Bourdain always go to the places, the restaurants, but very rarely go to remote because he doesn't have the time. But I go to remote area because I had an opportunity to work with Anthony Bourdain, and normally he would do one show for one whole region or one whole city or one whole country. And I normally do one show for a specific subject. If there is a special fish in in Sapa, some special thing, I will go there, just do the entire show on one single ingredient. So Nick, one day we're going to sit down, we will have insects and we'll have all these weird stuff.